Short little video there from National Geographic on, of course, prehistoric times, early humans, which we'll be later talking about, of course, in the week on Wednesday. So anyway, I want to welcome you back, of course, to History 1113. Daniel Simon at Baton Rouge Community College. You, of course, probably saw my preview video I had the other day. But anyway, of course, today we will be, of course, discussing the syllabus, class syllabus, for the fall semester 2021. Of course, I'll be also talking about our use of Canvas, of course, for the class. So I hope y'all having a great week out there. First week of classes at Baton Rouge Community College. Of course, I'm Daniel Simon. I've been at BRCC for years. So looks like we've got a lot of students, of course, here that are watching right now live. Looks like Joshua's watching. Hey, we're having a great afternoon. Asia, good afternoon. I've got a few emails from you, of course. We're having a great time out there. Haley, good afternoon. Hey, Haley. Dacian. Also, Jennifer. Looks like Tiana is also watching in StreamYard. Anybody else, of course, watching live, please let me know, of course, during the broadcast. Of course, you do get bonus points for watching the live stream, as you know. So anyway, yeah, I hope you're having an exciting week out there. School this week, and of course, COVID's still going on, as you know, pretty much right now. But today, of course, I'll be, like I said, we'll be talking about, I guess, we of course no lecture today planned until later on Wednesday this week. But I'll kind of go into and discuss the course syllabus. Of course, y'all signed up for the History 1113. This is the first 7 weeks class, so it's like 7 weeks. Of course, we'll be lecturing, of course, mostly on ancient history and some medieval history as well. Of course, I'll talk about Canvas a lot because we'll be using that a lot, on my YouTube channel for my lectures. Now, I'll talk about various assignments that we have coming up, which we don't have too many assignments due yet right now. I think the only thing that I've got current, need to really worry about is the pretest. Pretest, of course, you've seen on Canvas and may have seen reminders being sent out about it, but that'll be due, of course, this coming Friday, August the 20th. So try to get that done in quizzes. That will count towards attendance, in week one, because I do not take attendance off of, lectures, because it's not mandatory that you watch, the lecture live. The traditional online class. Contract policy page is also due to page 5 of the course syllabus. I'll give you till the end of week 2, August 27th, to also get that in. Either post it in the speed grade or in Canvas, or you can also email it to me if you can't figure how to do that also as well. Yeah, it's I wouldn't use your phone. You need to get some kind of if you want to email me about get you some technology or something like that, like maybe a Chromebook or something like that if you need one. But you need to try to not use an iPhone to do it if you can. Good afternoon, hey Candace. Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great time out there. Overall, of course, going over the syllabus today. I think it's hard to comment on your phone. That's the only thing about that. That might be kind of more difficult to do. But if you can, you just go to the YouTube video, of course, and that's going live, and send me some kind of comment about it. But anyway, yeah, talking about all the things, of course, coming up, today. Of course, later, like I said, later in the week on Wednesday, I'll be, of course, talking about prehistory. We'll get into, of course, the development of early humans mostly, and I'll kind of start talking about some of the River Valley civilizations that come in, because I know later in the week on Friday, I'll be talking about ancient Mesopotamia. That'll be kind of something we'll kind of talk about into this week, in week 1 and week 2 as well. So that's our real civilization we'll get to. But on Wednesday, I'm just going to kind of go into kind of just give you some basic background on prehistoric times, which there's not much history on that, of course, that we cover, but we'll go into that later. If you have any comments, questions, of course, about the lecture and the live stream, of course, let me know, of course, later. You can also, of course, send me comments anytime you want on my YouTube channel. Here's the link to StreamYard.com if you want to join me in StreamYard. I think currently Tijuana and looks like Tijuana and Daisy, and looks like they're in StreamYard right now. If anybody wants to join me there, you can overall. Now, let me go ahead and, of course, show you announcements that I already have posted on Canvas right now. Of course, the main one you probably have seen already, of course, is the one, Welcome to History 1113 right there. That just kind of goes into like the syllabus, gives you information on that, which you should go ahead and start looking at in week 1 right now. Also, I am taking book report, like what your book title is for the book report, starting this week. If you want to go ahead and email that to me, at least in the first 2 or 3 weeks, let me know what kind of book you want to read for the fall semester. There's a list right there. Make sure you, of course, pick them off the list that I've got right there. Also, if you're interested in the oral history project that I've got, which is a voluntary project for bonus points only. If you're interested in that, please email me about that as well. I have added some examples of various previous interviews that have been done by some of my former BRC students. So you go to my YouTube channel, you can probably find it in one of the playlists. I know there's the link to it if you want to, of course, right there. I am planning, of course, to have at least 3 lectures a week. It's kind of debated about, how many that will be. Sometimes it could be a recorded lecture that we might have, or a previous lecture I've had before. So sometimes I might have that as well. I'll try to have most of my lectures like live streamed for you, which is obviously better than like from a previous semester, I guess I know. But that's mostly I plan to do, is mostly live lectures if I can. But I do have, if you go back to that announcement right there, of course, it's got the link to my YouTube channel, as you see, but on the bottom, there was that preview video. If you want to go back and look at that again, I don't think that was as popular as the other one for 1123, but anyway, that's just kind of a preview of the whole class in general. But I'll go more into detail today about some of the topics we're talking about, more or less. There are a lot of other announcements. Some you can't see yet. But I'll kind of go through some of them that are here. I don't think you can see like some of the ones on Mesopotamia yet, but the one on prehistory you should be able to see soon on that one. So yeah, there we go. August 18th, Wednesday this week at 1 p.m. we'll, of course, have our first lecture on prehistory. Those are some of the historical questions or topics I'll kind of talk about prehistory. So I'll kind of first go into the background of what history is, talk a little about Herodotus, the father of history. And I'll kind of talk about prehistory and development of early humans that spread from Africa to Europe and Asia. And then we'll also get into like some of the river valley civilizations. So some of the links for that are kind of on the bottom here, of course, below. But anyway, so yeah, that's one announcement I've got right there posted overall. I've got some on Mesopotamia, but they're not up yet. So I'll get to those later about that. There's other announcements, like there was the announcement about using StreamYard. There's a link to that, which is right here. So just take a look at that. I think most students prefer YouTube, watching the lectures over StreamYard, but StreamYard's kind of a streaming platform where you can stream to live stream to different platforms like YouTube, Facebook Live, etc. It's kind of a cross between Zoom and Google Meet, but with live streaming in it. Is what it is. Now, those students that do watch live lectures, of course, will get bonus points. Then those that, of course, are unable to watch it or want to watch the recorded lectures later, which is probably a majority of my students likely, you can also leave comments and questions on my YouTube channel, but try to stick to, comments and questions about the lectures more than anything. Also, other announcements I've got posted. I think there was some things on the bottom showing like the links to like the playlist, which I'll pretty much have that posted throughout the semester. Pretty much every announcement I sent out is going to almost have the playlist right here. So you can find it easily on my YouTube channel. YouTube channel, of course, right here also. I think there was one more I thought I announced on the bottom. I thought about the pretest, which is right here, like I said, due Friday, August 20th. So those are some of the announcements I've got up right now for you to take a look at. Also, take a look at assignments right now. There's not that many, but you need to go ahead and start looking at the vocab assignment, the first key terms, because those are going to be due in a couple weeks. I think they're due on August the 30th is the date. But these are like just definitions that I want you to find, which should be in type format. You should obviously use some kind of works cited format with your citations for whatever kind of sources you use, whether it's the textbook, which is optional for my class, or you can also use sources that I have on the bottom that I've got listed, preferred secondary sources, which are mostly encyclopedias, etc. So if you don't want to use a textbook for some reason, it's optional. I don't really lecture out of the book anyway. So I would get that. And it's also a good resource or something if you want to look up something about something in history. So it's worth 150 points. We will have more of those. I think there's only like 3 or 4 of them during the semester I'll have, on the time frame. Enough time, I guess, whatever. So a 7 weeks class is kind of a shorter class. So it's kind of hard to get in assignments like I want sometimes. Book report is due Monday, October 4th. So like I said, go ahead and start, deciding what book title you want to read for the semester. Try to get that book. I do have the directions right here, but it is in the syllabus on page 4. There's also a list of source of books right here that you can choose from. Also, a writing rubric is also listed with the assignment as well. 3 students per book, of course, on the book list per class. So if you know which book you want, let me know via email. So email me at my email address that I've given you out. Of course, the pretest was right here. I just showed you that a second ago, but try to get that done, like I said, by the end of the week. There's other stuff in here too, like the student contract policy page. You can upload that here under the assignment, or you can email it to me if you can't figure that out also as well. So that's going to be worth 5 bonus points, and the pretest is worth 10 bonus points. So you do get extra credit at the beginning, of course. There's stuff about the Veterans Oral History Project. You want to go in there too. It's got the guidelines listed right here. It's also got examples of interviews that have been previously done by some of my BRC students. I don't have all of them on there, but just, I guess, the ones that were the best ones that I've gotten before. So that's going to be due in October, along with when the book report is, of course, also due as well. So not that many assignments really up there, like no quizzes yet, except for the pretest at that point. But when you turn in study guides, things like that, which are 15 bonus points each, you can just post them here or the appropriate assignment. If you go into files in Canvas, of course, you'll see there's a list of different documents that are in the class. This is a kind of an easy way to find certain documents that you're looking for. So pretty much every file that's in there, that's what the class is in there, pretty much. The syllabus can also be found where it says syllabus on the left here, Canvas. I also put information in here about the textbook. So like I said, the textbook is not mandatory for my class, but some students do get it because it helps them with their vocabulary reference. So a lot of students still get it. I think the 11th edition is likely going to be the cheaper edition. They're kind of similar. I think I pretty much just don't really care which one you have, 11th or 12th. They're not that much different between them, except maybe the page numbers are different or something like that. A few changes between both editions. But you might want to get that, or you can also get just volume 1, which is probably out there. Like this is volume 1 right here. Unless you want to take both both has 1113, 1123. Some students get both editions combined together, either one. So there's the information for the bookstore right there. I do got links to Amazon, I think, online, some of the different textbooks that are out there, 11th versus 12th edition. I'll just shop around, and try to find the best deal in all that. Looks like Natia's here. We're having a great afternoon. Yeah, I think Tuana's asking about the 7 weeks class. I can't put it on the screen, but I believe this is a 7 weeks class. Yeah, it should be first 7 weeks, not 14. So yeah, it's 7 weeks. That's what it should be. That's correct about that. Yeah, you should be fine without a book. It's up to you, like with the vocab and all that. So I pretty much don't lecture out of the book, and you can follow my lectures online pretty much, my YouTube channel and all that. So, all right. So let me talk about a few other things. Like if you go back to Canvas here, of course, they have quizzes. Later, we'll have quizzes up. I do have the prehistory quiz I'm kind of working on right now because that's going to be our first major quiz we'll have, which will be next week. So like next Monday when I'll give that out, which will actually, I'm sorry, this week. Excuse me, Wednesday is when I'll be giving that out. But it won't be due till next week, as you can see there. Modules has a lot of different things in it. It's got, of course, that video announcement preview I sent out a couple weeks ago right here. If you want to take a look at that again. I put the pretest right here as well. If you want to fill that out, complete that. And then, of course, the student contract policy page thing is also right here. Of course, I'll be putting the lecture schedules in here like of previous lectures that we've done. So obviously today's syllabus review day, I'll kind of be putting this here where that link is right here. That's not there. I'll put that there. And then obviously prehistory coming up later in the week, we'll have that put here also as well. Study guides, of course, right here. I've got the whole complete study guides. I mean, I do have the study guides that I think it's going to be, I think our first exam is most going to be these 3 topics: prehistory, Mesopotamia, and of course, Egypt. That's kind of a PowerPoint study guide that I've got. Or you can use the one that's more like a Word version, which is also right here. It is 15 bonus points, of course, to turn these in Canvas and assignments. I might put that assignment down here too as well later. A list of sources of the book report can also be found right here as well in modules. And then the oral history project is also listed here. Guidelines and, of course, examples of various interviews that I have already on my channel right now. Right there. They don't necessarily have to be in a conflict, that kind of thing, because I think I've had some that were in the Cold War, that kind of deal. So it could be anybody from World War II up to the present that could be interviewed. Or if you're a veteran yourself as well, of course, you might have somebody interview you, relative or friend, etc. Those, like I said, are due in October. Academic calendar, of course, I have posted right here. You want to take a look at that. I don't know if I'll open that up, but you can look at that. It's mostly got dates in it. I know, like holidays and drop dates and things like that that are listed in it. Then, of course, I've got office hours for us during the week. Pretty much office hours will be kind of, I think it's between like 11 to 1. It's about what it is. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, office hours. Usually via email. I prefer email to contact me. And then I will be on campus, of course, on Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10 to 12. LA 328. So if you want to come by and talk to me or whatever, just introduce yourself. That's fine. 3rd floor, Louisiana building. I'm pretty much there just on those days. So I'm not there Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm pretty much at home doing online lectures, etc. That's my email address. That's my office number at work. Probably won't be in my office much, a couple hours in the week. And then, of course, cell phone number, of course, also right here, both 225 area code, as you can see. So that's the majority of stuff I've got posted in, of course, on Canvas, right now. So if you have any questions, let me know, of course, about, that later. You're probably in Tijuana saying 1123 EO1. I think you're just in the wrong lecture. Yeah, that's what it is. I think is what it is. Because I think we already met at 10 a.m. I did send out a link about that. I think it was a typo on the link or something like that. So yeah, you're in the 1123 EO1, but I'll give you credit for this one today. We'll meet Wednesday on 10 a.m. talking about the Reformation later in the week. So I'll give you credit for today, though, watching this, though. So that's probably what it is. All right. So anyway, I'm going to move on. I'm going to talk next about the syllabus. I need to get into that and share that with you as well. So let me kind of bring that up for you right here. And so yeah, there's the syllabus for History 1113. It's pretty much similar to 1123, except the historical topics are different. Like the 1123 is like just modern history from, I guess, around the Reformation, all that up to modern times. And then 1113, of course, is the first half, starting in ancient times, going up through medieval times. So that's pretty much the class that most of you have signed up for, of course, with a 7 weeks class. So I'm going to kind of go over that first a little bit. And if you have any other questions, let me know. So yeah, it does have contact information at the top, just like you see on Canvas overall. So I don't have to really go over that again because we've pretty much done that already with that. But yeah, y'all have signed up for, like I said, a survey class. Survey class is a type of class which is lecture-based. It's kind of just broad. We don't really go into detail on a lot of things. But we cover, like I said, prehistory up through like the early civilizations. Like I'll cover pretty much the 4 river valley civilizations. I'll cover into the Greeks, the Romans. We'll do a lot of medieval history. We'll get into like the Byzantine Empire, the rise of Islam, and also a lot of the historical topics that occur like in the Middle Ages. So early, high, late Middle Ages, whatever I can get in, of course, in a 7 weeks period is pretty much what we'll cover. Going up to the Renaissance is usually the in topic, I guess, of the end of this particular class. 3-hour credit course, of course, you see there. Learning outcomes are also listed. These are the things you should be able to do when you complete this class. And also adds general education learning outcomes are also listed as well. But we've talked a little about the textbook, History of World Societies. Like I said, there's like 2 different editions. Of course, they just switched to the 12th edition, but I think you can get pretty much either edition. They're pretty much almost the same. I was looking at both. I have both editions. They don't look that much different between the 2. Probably made a few changes to it, and the page numbers are probably different and all that. But pretty much all the vocab terms and all that stuff are kind of like similar to both of them. I think the 11th edition is like cheaper. Also as well to either buy or purchase as well. So I have already posted the first vocab assignment on Canvas, which you can go ahead and start working on. That one is due in like 2 weeks. So yeah, they are due in a quick amount of time. So I'll have either 3 or 4 of those I'll have during the semester overall. Other grades, of course, we'll have 3 exams in the semester. First exam, second exam, and a final exam. They're not cumulative. It's pretty much covering whatever I decide to cover for each exam. Sometimes I don't cover everything in an exam, so it might be covered in a quiz or something like that. The amount of questions, I got like 50 to 60, but I think since online exams or whatever are usually a little shorter, it probably won't be that long. But I tend to use like multiple choice, matching, fill in the blank type questions, short answer type questions are pretty much the questions I prefer, especially with online classes. It's a lot easier to grade than say essay. But I do a research paper instead of an essay. That's what I usually do. So all exams are worth 200 points. Also, I don't give a midterm exam, but during midterms, I usually do a makeup period instead. So if you miss like an assignment or something like that, I usually give you time to make it up over a few days during the midterm period. Sometimes they even do it before the final, or you let some students make up some stuff. But most of that do like in the midterm to try to keep students in the class and not have to drop and all that. I do have, of course, student exemptions for the final exam. Any student having an A+ average going into the final does not have to take the final. Just make sure you have all your assignments, of course, completed to keep or retain that exemption. Also, like I said, there'll be a book report, which I've talked about already a little bit. It's on page 4 of the syllabus, or it's in assignments also as well. There will be quizzes throughout the semester, of course, which I'll talk about later about that. Usually quiz will be 50 to 100 points, depending on the quiz or what type it is. Sometimes I give quizzes on like documentaries and things like that as well. Also, you'll get points for attendance also as well, but it's based off of assignments completed. Remember, during the semester, attendance is not taken whether you watch the lectures or not live, but through assignments completed per week. It's not mandatory you watch the lecture live and things like that. So it's not a traditional, it's not a sync class, I guess is what it is. Study guides are also available. It says 10 bonus points, but they're now worth 15 bonus points. I have gone up on the points on that, but see modules for that also as well. The Veteran Choice Project also, if you want points on that, it's worth 200 bonus points. If you interview a veteran, which is, by the way, a voluntary project. It's not like a mandatory project. It's part of the class, but it's just totally voluntary. That is due, like I said, in early October during final exam. So email me if you're interested in that project. You can also look at, of course, examples of different interviews that have been done. I prefer video interviews, but audio interviews are also okay also as well. The grading scale is a 10-point scale. I'm not sure the points. It could be 2,000 or more. Depends on what kind of assignments we'll have during the semester. But I do know that's a 10-point scale. There is a blurb on plagiarism also in the syllabus. Make sure you don't steal someone's work, whether it be on the internet or another student. Make sure that you look at the BRCC Student Handbook, which has information like that and other things that deal with academics. There's a thing on safety in the syllabus as well. The number for campus police is 216-888. Also, please be aware, there's a system called BRCC Connect, which you can find on the BRCC webpage, which is an emergency text messaging and email system in case of emergencies, like where they have to close the school down, hurricanes, and whatever else. Who knows what's going to happen with this COVID thing? They might, if you have a face-to-face class, they may cancel the classes and go back to online. So we don't really know what's going to happen with that. We'll have to see, I guess, during the semester. Also on that page, I think it's page 3, there's a section on student conduct, etc. So make sure you take a look at that. A lot of this is not going to matter as much for us because in case you go on campus or whatever, but make sure you have a student ID parking tag if you go on campus and things like that. I think you have to also go into buildings now. I know they have some kind of form you got to fill out online, like a COVID form, before you can actually walk into a building. I know that. Also, there's stuff about the Academic Learning Center, I think, listed right here. Of course, they have the testing center, although most of my course exams, quizzes will be online. Not sure if I'm using Proctorio this semester for proctoring, but usually for quizzes, I usually don't. Now, the most important thing in the syllabus is really page 4, so make sure you do check out the book report. That is very important for that, because that's going to be one of our mandatory assignments that you'll have to do for the semester. Like basically, you're going to have to pick a book out of that book list that I gave you on Canvas. Make sure you decide in the first couple weeks, like first 2 or 3 weeks, which book you want to do. Like I said, the textbook is not mandatory, but the one for the book report is. This particular book, of course, you will not need other books. So like you're not writing a research paper on a topic, you're writing it on an actual book that somebody wrote, like a historian or author. So don't use other sources to complete your assignment, etc. I do have directions for it. Make sure it has a cover page. Usually MLA style is fine. 12 font, no italics, except unless you need italics for a certain specific reason, like you think books and things like that are usually italicized, or like a ship or something is usually italicized, that kind of thing. Minimum 3 pages, but it could be longer, up to, I guess, 8 to 10 pages is possible. Your paper should include a works cited page. Usually MLA is fine. Style I prefer. Like you're not going to be citing other sources, so you're just going to be citing that book anyway. So most of the book should be a summarization of what the author wrote about. So make sure you take notes, like when you read your book. It's like the important points. So you're not going to be able to cover everything that's in the book, but try to stick to what you think is the most important points that the author writes about whatever historical event he's writing about. But I also want critical review of what you thought about the book. Like, what did you think of the work? Would you recommend it for someone for reading? What are some positive and negative aspects of the work? What are some positive and negative aspects of the author's style of writing on the subject? But you can pretty much write about anything. You can even compare and contrast, I guess, back then to modern times if you want, but try not to go too far off on a tangent and stick more to what the author's writing about. I don't require rough drafts, but students can obviously send me rough drafts of their paper during the semester. You can email them to me, and I did that a bunch of times this summer. I know that I did that. So send those to me, what you're doing work-wise, so I can take a look at it. Make sure you spell check and grammar. Like they have a thing called Grammarly you may have heard of that checks grammar and things like that. So make sure you check those kind of things, or have somebody, proofread your paper, like a friend or relative can do that too, to kind of take a look at it. Have somebody else read it, like a peer or something like that. Cover page. So here's kind of an outline of it right here. Cover page and the body of the paper and review. And then, of course, the works cited page, of course, can go in the back. Like I said, this assignment will be due pretty much like during the final exam period. I think I said October. I think it was October 4th, I believe is the date. It's actually due. So that's an assignment I really need to start working on right now overall. Now, also on the bottom as well, let me go back down here. Don't forget they have the contract policy page as well. Make sure you check that out. This is just evident that you, of course, agree to the terms of my syllabus and understand what the framework of the semester will be. Do need page 5 of the syllabus turned in. You either upload it, of course, to Canvas under that assignment in the speed grader, or you can email it to me if you can't figure out how to do that. That is where 5 bonus points are turned, of course, the contract policy page in. It does go into like attendance policies, which, like I told you, attendance will not be based off of lectures, but off of assignments turned in, of course, per week, which I think this week 1, I know it's the pretest will count also as well. Of course, if you miss information about the lecture, you can go back, obviously, on YouTube to check out, all my videos I've got up there. So remember about the playlist that's up there that I've got for you. You can go back and look at that. They have Academic Learning Center, but I don't know if they have too much in history. You can check on that. They do. I don't usually tutor myself. But if you have questions about something historically, just email me about it, and I can try to answer it for you if you got something. Or obviously, it's easier if you watch a video and lecture on YouTube, just send me a comment question about it, and I can answer it. And, of course, you get bonus points for that, also doing that. Now, if you get excessive absence, don't forget you can drop the class or any class. So don't forget about that. I think in the academic calendar, there's a drop date listed for that. You need to look at that as well. But, yeah, you can drop the class, of course, also as well. Attendance, participation points, like I said, it's up to 150 points, which is based off attendance and all that for assignments. So that's also listed there on that page 5 as well. There's a little student information thing on the bottom. Of course, student name, major, just fill that out. And also answer the questions there. What do you like about history? What do you dislike about history as well? So that you can turn into me, get that to me like within at least a week and a week 2, if you can. 5 bonus points. Also on page, I think it's page 6, 7, they have the military absence policy issues. So take a look at that. If you're in the military, you're going to be out. You need to fill out a form, which is, I think, is on page 7, which is right here. So that's right there. And then they have also the student athlete absence policy, which is also on page 8 as well. If you're like in athletics, some kind of sport. We got several sports I know at BRCC you've got going, I guess, a semester. But if you're in that, you can, of course, be exempt, I guess, whatever. Looks like Devin, got a bunch of questions. Now they say you're supposed to use your school email, but I get emails from all kinds of students, like showing me different emails, I guess. You're supposed to, that's what they say. But I guess if you can't for some reason, you can do that. I would email IT. I guess they'll try to go on the website IT and see if you can get help on that to get it. And hopefully they'll figure that out. So anyway, but I mean, yeah, I get students send me all kinds of emails from, I don't really care to tell you the truth. So I don't know. I'll answer it, whatever. I guess it helps because like I can see like which class you're in and all that, that kind of thing, which helps me sometimes, to do stuff easier. So does anybody else have any other questions? I think I know the other question I had was about the book. Yeah, you don't know. You don't really necessarily need the book either. You're talking about that. Anybody else? I don't know if anybody else has any other questions about the syllabus or about Canvas. Now, like I said, later in the week, like I said, on Wednesday's class, will be a 1 p.m. lecture. I'll, of course, be going into talking about prehistory. So I'll first kind of talk a little bit about the background of history. I'll kind of talk about Herodotus and the Greeks. They were the ones that really first started really writing history. So I'll talk about that first, and then we'll get into prehistoric times. I'm not going to go back to dinosaur times and things like that. That's not really that kind of class, but I'll kind of get into like the development of early humans, what humans were doing, I guess they think in the mostly Stone Age, because humans developed in Africa, the cradle of humankind, as they called it. And then humans spread from Africa into Europe, into Asia, and eventually in America. So we'll get into that, and I'll kind of talk about some of the early Neolithic sites that are they found in modern times that are examples of early sites that led to like farming and things like that. Then I'll get into also talking about the early civilizations, like the River Valley civilizations that start developing all throughout the world, because later in the week on Friday, I'll be talking about Mesopotamia also as well. So I guess there doesn't seem to be too many other questions, I guess, right now. But like I said, if you have any comments, questions, about this segment today, not really a lecture, but, do leave those to me on my YouTube channel. You can do that anytime. If you want to, email me about something about the class, administratively or whatever, you can also do that. My email, of course, is mybrcc.edu. So it's like no other questions. So hope y'all have a great, semester coming up. Should be exciting. Crash course, I guess, in 7 weeks for y'all in this History 1113 class. But yeah, we're going to cover a lot of exciting historical topics. I myself is more of a Roman historian. The way I like the Roman period and all that. That's why I'm wearing the red, I guess. But anyway, but that's it for today. I'll be sending out, by the way, probably emails, announcements about upcoming lectures. You should already see, of course, the prehistory lecture for Wednesday. That should already be posted in Canvas right now. So you should be able to see that right now coming up. But later in the week, I'll have a, like some kind of announcement about the first quiz coming up, which will be, of course, on prehistory on this Wednesday. So that's it for today. Doesn't look like there's any other questions right now. Well, that one you're just going to post it. You can just, Asia, you can just go ahead and post it to the speed grader, or you can email it. So you might have to copy it or print it out or whatever, you can get a copy to me and do that to me. But it's easier if you just like put it in a speed grade or email it to me. It's fine. So that's worth 5 bonus points, like I said. So I guess that's it for questions. I don't think anybody else has any right now except Asia and all that. So that's it. Of course, we'll see, like I said, later in the week on Wednesday. I hope you'll have a great, rest of the first week of class at Baton Rouge Community College. If you have any questions or comments about something, you need to let me know anytime. I'll try to email you back, as soon as I can and all that. So y'all take care, and I'll see you later, of course, in the week. So y'all take care. Have a great day too.